we want to make out of the 9 months that we have left of 2025. Unexplicable joy. Achieve the dream salary that I had set for myself. Actually enjoy the journey. Hi everyone. Today we're diving straight into it. We are doing 2025 first quarter check-in. We're already done with the first quarter of the year. You have me here, give you the signposts throughout the year to check in, make sure we're all on track, and not that we steer back on track to really make 2025 a year that we enjoy. In a full check-in, we're doing a full review of our life, our year so far, tuning to what we want to make out of the 9 months that we have left of 2025. We'll be plotting and writing. We'll be plotting our comeback, making that plotting and that writing visual. We'll end this video on living it. Plotting and writing, we're visualizing it, and then we're actually stepping into that life, stepping into that feeling, viewing where we're at right now. I'm gonna show you, if you haven't heard of this before, a tool that has really come in handy for myself. Perhaps you've heard it from other productivity, self-care, self-improvement YouTuber friends, is the Wheel of Life. Wheel of Life is a tool that helps you assess every area that makes up your life. It helps you see how it's doing, how that specific area is doing, and by area or category I mean your health, your personal relationships, your finances, your career, you know, all of that. And it helps you assess where you're at this point in your life and where you would want to be, or by the end of the year, by the end of the month, depending on what you're approaching the Wheel of Life for. Most importantly, this tool not only helps you have a really clear visual with levels and numbers and how your life is doing, the most important thing for me is it helps you prioritize what you want your focus, your energy, and your time to go to. Next steps that you're gonna take right now for your life. And continue to improve all the areas throughout the year or throughout your entire life, but you can't focus on everything at once. You need to prioritize. And that's why it comes in so handy. Little example, you don't have to pay anything to access the Wheel of Life. You can literally just Google the Wheel of Life and either draw it on paper or download the image and fill it out in your notes app and on Instagram, print it out and then fill it out with markers or pens, whatever you want. So here's an example with relationships and family. So let's say my relationships are at like a level 6 and I would want them to be at a level 9. Familial relationships are at a 7 and I would want them to be at a 10. Levels and how you assess them is going to be very personal. There's not a set of criteria. For instance, my level 5 in my personal relationships might be very different from someone that's extremely introverted, that has like 100 and millions of friends. Like my level 5 might be that person's level 2. Because we're different people. We prioritize different things, we have different needs, and my vision for that category of my life is different than the next person. That's completely fine. So this is very personal, and the value that you assign to each level. Now that you have all your categories in the Wheel of Life filled out, if back in January you already did goals for 2025, go back to those goals, look at them, and reorganize them according to the category that they would fit. A goal around like, I want to run a marathon, start eating more vegetables, and those would go in the health category. But if you haven't made goals, then stay with me. If you're like me and you haven't set your goals yet, then have a look at the Wheel of Life, see which categories you would want to improve this year, and then come up with goals for each one. So what next step or what milestone will help you get closer and closer to that upper level in that specific category? So one thing or two that will bring you closer to getting to that goal ideal level in the family category, in the career category, in the finances category. Make sure your goals are smart. Your goals cannot be general, they need to be super specific, because you need to make it as easy as possible on your future self to, on one hand, remain on track and remain disciplined, and for that it's super important that you have clarity on what you need. I want to be more active this year. What does that mean? Like, how? There are so many different ways that you can become more active. You can get easily overwhelmed. You know, you need to become very specific with yourself. For instance, let's stick with becoming more active this year. A specific way to tackle this would be, I will do strength training twice a week and walk at least 7K steps every day. That is your goal, and that's your starting point. Next month, next quarter, you might check in and you might say, you know what, I was shooting for the stars. This was actually really hard. Or you might say, I was shooting way too low. This was really easy to do. Let's increase it, you know. Either way, even if you have a hard time sticking to it or not, you will have done more than if you just very generally said, I want to be more active. We have no way of tracking that. For the final step of this first stage of plotting and writing, now we need to bring it closer to the present. What goals are you going to focus on for the next month? Or even the next quarter, if you want to look 3 months ahead instead of just one. I'll let you decide on that, depending on how you work best, you know. The maximum future that I want you to envision right now at this stage is April, May, June, end of June, when the second quarter of the year ends. So think of the goals that you'll want to achieve either by the end of April or the end of June. Look at the wheel of life. Look at the goals that you organize under each category. What I want you to do is to focus on, let's say, a maximum of 3 life categories that you want to prioritize. Choose the life categories and therefore the goals that come with and under those categories. Choose the one that's gonna bring you the most happiness and joy to have fulfilled and to have reached. Which one's gonna have the biggest impact when you achieve those things? Prioritize that. Once you have prioritized them, write those goals down in your weekly or daily planner. I don't know how you go about organizing your days, your weeks, your to-dos, whatever system you use. And if you're looking at ideas and help on setting up those systems, let me know down below, because I love my weekly and daily planning. So I would love to do a video on that if you guys are interested. But if you already have a system, I'm gonna assume for the sake of the length of this video that you already have some sort of system. So please include those goals in your weekly and daily check-ins. What I do myself is every Monday morning, I write a weekly dump, all the tasks that I need to do that week. Every day of that week, I go back to my weekly dump of to-dos. I organize my daily to-dos according to that. You know, it depends on the goal, depends on your week, depends on what goes on, but please include this in your weekly, monthly, daily organizer schedule. Let's move on to the next part. Vision board making. Making any sort of visual element that reminds you of your goals, that reminds you of the emotions that you'll feel when you achieve those goals. Don't know what vision board making is. It's basically representing your goals, everything that you just wrote about, the life that you're creating with these milestones, with the steps that you want to take, representing those goals that you have written down in pictures, representing them visually. It will be a collage of all of these pictures. So it's like a big picture made up of tiny pictures, all relate to either the feeling or the goal that you want your future self to have and to embody. It's really, really helpful. It has helped me so much achieve the dream salary that I had set for myself when I graduated uni. It did help me achieve it. Why is this so important? On one hand, it's just another reminder, the same thing as what I mentioned with your weekly dump of to-do. But not only that, visual images, visual cues are so key to truly believing that you can accomplish everything that you're setting up for yourself. It's not the same reading a piece of paper that says, I'm gonna write the book, I'm gonna give a TED talk, I'm gonna make $1 million. It's not the same. Reading that on a piece of paper with your own handwriting, looking at an image of it every single day and becoming so used to seeing that your brain doesn't see it as something super crazy, super far into the future. You're seeing it every single day. It gets normalized in your brain and you put this thing off from the pedestal that you probably have it on right now. Believe you me that it just makes it so much easier on yourself to truly believe that you can achieve that. A little tip that I also gave on my previous video at the end of 2024 on how you can make a vision board that actually trick your brain like it's you living out that life. When you go looking for the pictures, if the picture involves a person, so let's say that you want to, I don't know, exercise more this year, you look up the picture of someone exercising. Try and choose a picture, a girl working out, cute girl working out, that has your same complexion, could look like you. I always try to avoid pictures that show the face of the person because that just keeps reminding me that that is another person living that life and that's not me. I try and choose pictures where either the girl is taking a picture in the mirror and the phone is blocking their face, or it's a picture taken from the back so you only see their hair. I'm telling you, that will really help. When you look at your whole vision board, it's all people that look like you and could low-key be you and will be you if you stick to your goals. That's a little hack. Living that life that you just wrote down, that you just visualized and made a cute little collage of. Heavily believe that that will be your life at the end of 2025, at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter. So I heavily believe, even if you don't believe in energy, the energy and the attitude that you have towards life in general, your life, the world, everyone's lives, is what you get out of the world. So if you're doing all the right steps, if you're setting all the reminders, setting the SMART goals, balancing out your life categories and all of that, but you have a really bad attitude, really bad mindset, a really negative one, you're probably gonna burn a lot of bridges. You're gonna not see the opportunities coming, even if they hit you in the face. You never know what opportunities you might be missing because of your mindset and your attitude. Take baby steps towards living in the same wavelength, in the same attitude, energy, and mood that you are visualizing in the vision board, that you are thinking of when you set your goals. The same energy, the same attitude, the same mood that future self of yours is going to have and has. Cliche as it sounds, there is a reason that everybody, every expert, every entrepreneur, so many people swear by it. It's cliche and you've heard it before, but that is gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy frequency, first of all. Imagine if you had actually achieved all that you're setting out for yourself to achieve. How grateful would you be? Compare your life now to the life of that future self. How much gratitude would you have to have all these things? Gratitude is a muscle. Even if you don't consider yourself a very grateful person, which, you know, I have been there. If you're going through a really tough time, if you're experiencing a lot of negative things, a lot of things are not seemingly going your way, but it's also a muscle. So that makes it achievable for anyone. You get to train yourself into being like that. Okay, start by listing a few things that you're grateful for. It can be 3, it can be 5. Just try and feel the gratitude for those things that you're listing down. I know it's gonna be hard at first. You will start to feel that gratitude more deeply the more you do this exercise. The first few times, really dedicate time and space to try and feel that gratitude. Something that has helped me in the past, and to order yourself to feel an emotion is really hard. It doesn't really work like that. If you're very much stuck in your head, look at the list that you wrote down and just ask yourself, how much worse would your life be if those things, if those people were not in it? That will really get your gratitude going. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know what can happen. So you have these things here that you're saying that you're grateful for. Be grateful for it, whatever it is. As tiny as it might seem. Hone in on them, hone in on that feeling, focus on them. Second and final step, make time for rest and connection. Desperate, anxious energy only repels. Have you ever been around someone like that? Do you want to still be around people when you notice that they are like that? Being tired, desperate for something to happen, only makes you further away from that thing. There's like energy explanations as to why this happened. There's the law of detachment, if you're into law of attraction, law of detachment, you know, all these different energy universe laws, if you believe in them. But if you don't, think of your life and the people in it, and if you were facing someone that's crazily desperate for, I don't know, it's super clingy with you, super anxious all the time. The same thing works with your goals and your life. Your goals will not want you if you're that clingy, that desperate, that anxious, and coming from that space of lack, which is the complete opposite of the gratitude space that we just explored. So that's why I mentioned that as the first step, actually, because gratitude will really help you if you're feeling anxious and desperate for things to happen. Gratitude will really help anchor you down, ease that anxiety, ease that desperation a bit. And I mentioned connection because gratitude can help a lot, but connection to people and different things actually help you detach a bit from outcomes and become more present in your life. It will feed back into gratitude. You know, it becomes a loop. Connection can have many faces. It can be many different things for different people. Be speaking or seeing your loved ones. It can be taking the time to say hi to even the person serving you your coffee. Connection can also mean reading, going to a museum, connecting with characters, connecting with other ages and times through paintings. It can be connection through music if it inspires you. Connection can have so many different shades, so many things and colors in the spectrum of connection. You just need to find your cup of tea when it comes to connection. It's all about tapping into what makes your soul, your core, your heart happy and dance and vibrate with energy. What brings you unexplicable joy. And I also mentioned rest because rest is super important and is often the first thing that goes out the window whenever you get that fire up your ass that you want to achieve everything and all your goals, and you want to do so many things. You know, there's so much pressure in society to be hustling and bustling all the time. Rest is the first thing that goes out the window. But it will come and bite you in the ass if you don't prioritize it. Connection can also help with mental and emotional rest. You know, there are different types of rest. I'll put a little overview of different types of rest. But rest isn't only sleeping, although that, again, is one of the first things that goes out the window when people are trying to achieve things. And if you've made it this far in the video, I love you. Thank you so much. Here's a bonus tip. This has a lot to do with connection, with gratitude, with rest, and with this last part of the video that we just touched upon. It's about romanticizing your life. Think about what I said on repelling people, repelling opportunities, repelling things that you really, really want. You have bad, desperate, negative energy. Romanticizing your life is another side of the coin of gratitude because it really anchors you to the present. You're really, really present in your life if you're romanticizing it. You're making the most out of the most mundane things. Going on a walk, going on a coffee shop. Spice it up. You can do your hair and put on some cute music that you used to love when you were a kid. You just say hi to more people on your daily coffee run, and you randomly make some new friends, or you randomly have some really interesting conversations that inspire you to tackle your work differently, or get you out of the rut with the book that you're writing, or whatever it is. You never know where inspiration might come from. You never know where new doors will open just because you're adding a little bit more of spice to your life. I'm practicing it more and more, and to be honest, my life has just become so much more fun because of it. Nothing bad will come of it. If anything, it's gonna make things more fun. It's gonna help you embrace the process and the trajectory of reaching those goals, reaching that life. You know, you don't have to be sulking and desperate on your way to reach it. You can actually enjoy the journey. That's it for today's video. I hope you got either some inspiration, some useful tips. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe, especially if you want to be reminded of our next check-in, and we'll see how we're doing then. But see you in the next one.